Cursed be the ground for our sake. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for us. For out of the ground we were taken for the dust that we are, and to the dust we shall return. The From the Dust podcast features people who have had life-changing experiences. Here they share their stories and testimonials about how God can move and change a person's life. Welcome to the From the Dust podcast. Take a listen. Open your hearts and ears. Here's your host, James Science.
Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of From the Dust podcast. I'm your host, James Science. Whatever you are, whatever you do, hope you are highly favored and highly blessed. Well, if you have a story or testimony you want to share, go ahead and hit me at From the Dust podcast at outlook.com. That's From the Dust podcast at outlook.com. Stories need to be told and voices need to be heard. Well, today, like every guest that comes in, they got a story to share. You know, whether it was crazy life, uncrazy life, every story matters, every voice matters. So we're going to go ahead and introduce my guest, Author Annette Pearson, and she wrote the book, Finding Strength in the Darkness. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. I know we had this scheduled, but, you know, with this COVID, it's a real thing, and people should know that.
Yeah, it is. You know, I know everybody has their opinions, but it's a real thing. So, and don't mess around. It's real and it's affecting us, and it hits in even the smallest of places. So, yeah. Take care, people.
I know. And I know I caught it, and my family members caught it. And, you know, through the grace of God, we all came out healthy, maybe healthier or a little bit more cautious of what we do now. But, you know, God's good.
Yeah, God's with us. Amen.
So I want to thank you for coming on, taking the time to share your story and some of your background, and to get to what your book's about and why you wrote it. So let's get into it. Where did you grow up? Where are you from?
So I was born and raised in Canoga Park, California, in the Valley. Yeah.
That's my hometown.
There you go.
I was born in East LA, but my dad, he's a minister, and he is a pastor and stuff. His ministry was based in Canoga Park. I grew up there since like 1 to like 2 on my 20s.
Yeah. I actually moved to Chicago with my mother later on. I was still in school, but I spent half the year in Chicago and half the year in the Valley. Bi-coastal child, back and forth on the plane, even from an early age. So it worked. Got to see everything, and then eventually, God paved the way for me to go to North Carolina and start fresh. And in North Carolina, I was just supposed to be a temporary thing, and I met my husband, and we've now been married. Well, I'm back in California now, but we've now been married for almost 14 years. Wow. So it's exciting, and it's all it was all God's plan. God paved the way for us to be together.
Wow, that's a blessing to be married for such a long time. Gotta give it to you.
We literally track every step leading up till the time we met, and we were faced with decisions in each step. And had we made the other decision, we would not have been together.
Wow.
So yeah, it's something special, and I actually talk about that in my book. So.
And let's get into the reason, some of the reasons, some things that you went through, if you went through any, and the reason why you wrote your book, and the story behind it, if you like to share.
Yeah, I wrote my book. So I started writing my book in July of this summer, and I finished it in 4 months. It was my passion project. My husband and I lost our daughter in January of 2020. She was born asleep. And we had lost our son 1 year and 5 months ago, who was also born sleeping. After my daughter was delivered, my life became in jeopardy, and the doctors then spent 4 hours operating on me to save my life. And I woke up with missing body parts and rearranged body parts and no baby. And it was the hardest thing that I've ever had to walk through. But I in all of this, realized that God was there with me because, as the doctors told my husband, I was within minutes of losing my life. And I'm here today to be his wife and to be a mom to my daughter, Faith, who is 10 and a half. And when I thought back and I looked at that and I realized, God has saved my life so many times. It's all in his plan. When I lost my son in January of 2019, I had a heart attack from losing so much blood. I lost 5 units of blood in an hour, and I had a heart attack and I lost consciousness. And while I'm not conscious, I still vividly remember seeing a white fuzzy light and praying hands reaching towards me and then pushing me back. And I came to my husband shaking me and crying and covered in sweat. I had those 2 moments where there is undeniably God was with me every step of the way. And after losing my daughter, I was really suffering from an identity crisis. We had gotten pregnant through IVF and ICSI. We had been trying, my daughter's an IVF baby, in vitro fertilization. And then almost immediately after she was born, we started trying again because we knew that we wanted to expand our family. And so for 10 years, I was trying to have babies, and everything that I was doing was for my family, but also for the purpose of growing our family. And now that was gone. And I faced the reality that of what happened and the seriousness of what happened and how God showed himself in my life. And I really struggled in this way of saying, who am I now? What am I now? And then it came to me in prayer that what if the purpose of everything that happened was to give my life new purpose? And that was really strong and powerful because then I thought, well, what is my life's purpose? I don't know. And so I prayed some more, and then it occurred to me through prayer and the word that I have a story to tell. I have a message to give, and I need to be loud, intentional, and get that message out because we have more strength than we give ourselves credit for. We have God by our side, carrying us through all this. And we just can't give up because it was very easy for me to want to give up at that point. So my book, Finding Strength in the Dark, a story of hope, love, faith, and hot pink Mary Janes, journals takes the reader on a journey through many of the difficult points in my life, including a physically and sexually abusive relationship, and moving cross country with just me, my cat, and my SUV, to having a total knee replacement and having a stroke the day after. So it goes through these instances in my life, and within each chapter, I encourage laughter and humor because I feel that that's the best medicine, and laughter is a form of meditation. But as well, I take the reader through how did I find my strength in that time? I'm often asked, how are you still here? Like, how are you functioning? Why aren't you in the corner, saying I can't do this anymore and I can't do this anymore? And that's because my life has a purpose. And I'm here to live it.
And I find this, I know sometimes we go through situations, we go through things that we don't understand why we're going through them, why God would allow it. And like you said, it's easy to give up. So sometimes people that do have faith, they do believe, and they go through it, they walk away. But on this, you took that and you took it as a story and basically wrote it down to help people. See, that's a lot. And I give it up to you for that.
Thank you. It wasn't easy, but I don't want anybody to think that they don't have the strength. And I know that's really easy to tell ourselves, I can't do it anymore. I just don't have the strength for this, but we do. I kind of feel like within us, and maybe it's with the power of prayer that does it, but it's like we have this dimmer switch installed in us that when we turn off the light because something happens, that's okay. Like, feel your way through it, do what you need to do, pray, all of that. just be able to gradually reach for that switch and turn it on a little bit at a time, and don't stay in the dark.
Now, through, I don't know what you're comfortable with sharing, but if they want to find out more, we'll let them read the book. But through some of the trauma you went through, the pain. I don't know if it was younger or great life, but what gave you that strength? What was that purpose that made you just want to, instead of giving up, or people give up, people do crazy things when they go through hurt and stuff. But yeah, you pushed on, you pushed out. What gave you that strength to push on?
I'll say it's two things. The first is I did it because, I felt a commitment to whatever was going on in my life then, and a commitment to myself. And the second is God. God willed me to get out of bed in the morning. And, we sometimes go through it, we may be very upset or down or drawn, but we're putting one foot on the floor at a time, and we're getting up out of bed every day. And that takes a heck of a lot of strength, a heck of a lot of strength to do. And we need to give ourselves credit for it. So when we say we don't have strength, what have you done today? Did you just sit up in bed? That's strength. You did it. So it's within us to find each of our reasons to get going, but don't undercut yourself. You do have the strength, and it's in those small things, one moment, one thing at a time. Prayer takes strength. Picking up the phone to talk to somebody or cry to somebody takes strength. Feeling your feelings takes strength. So acknowledge it. Feel the strength. Keep going.
Now, through everything you went through, not just the book, but how are you able to help other people? Do you counsel people? Do you mentor people? Anybody?
Well, I am a strength coach. I'm in the process of getting my life coach certification. As well, I am happy to mentor people or just be somebody that somebody could talk to. I know in the days where it was, I got out of bed today. That was my great accomplishment. But I still felt like I had nobody to talk to. And there's a statistic that like 1 out of every 10 people feel alone. And that is like one of the biggest reasons they feel they don't have strength. So if you think about that, that's a lot of people, and we are not alone, and I am always here.
Wow. And where can we find your book, or we could find you? Anybody seeking anything that you went through? And I know some people are comfortable sharing things, but women that are hurting and they're seeing this, how can they reach out to you? If
Absolutely. I want you to reach out to me. I'm looking right straight at the camera because I don't want you to feel alone, but I do want you to feel your feelings. So feel your feelings, but know that you are stronger than you believe, and you are not alone. And if you need somebody to talk to, you can email me at information@igotfaithbaby.com. And you can find my book and a little bit more about my journey at findingstrengthinthedark.com.
wow, I like that, and I can see the work you put into your book. Obviously, I'm in the middle. Well, I'm in the middle of writing a book. I don't want to rush it, but it's just some of the experiences I went through as a kid growing up. As a PK, the life behind it, and what I've learned, and how much faith I still have, no matter what I go through. Now, what's your faith? Your faith like now is your relationship with Christ. Looking back at your past up until now.
I'm just going to be real with everybody. I spent an awful lot of time being angry at God. Why? I remember as a child after my dad died asking the question, if God is good, why did my dad die? And that anger really fermented in me. And it made me, for a period of time, a very angry person, self-destructive in a way. And faith is bigger than us, and hope is bigger than us. And I had to realize, to pull myself up, that I needed to hold on to faith and hold on to hope, because there is a better tomorrow and there is an answer in everything. I will see my father again, and he is living a peaceful, beautiful life, and I will be with him. And I believe that my father is enjoying being a grandfather to his 6 babies in heaven, from me. So, and I will say my faith has wobbled. I am not perfect by any means. I will say that, after losing my son and daughter, it was a big why. Why? After all the praying, after all that we've gone through, why are they not here? And that realization that of this, now my giving my life a purpose, and the realization that where I feel that God abandoned me with my son and daughter, God didn't abandon me. He saved me. He saved me so that my husband doesn't have to raise our daughter without a mother. He saved me so that I can be here to spread this message, so I could be a mother to my daughter, so I could be a daughter to my mother, so I can be a friend, and so I can continue to live a life of prayer. That took a lot. And some days it's still like, okay, that's great, but, come on. We all have those days. It doesn't make us bad Christians for having those days and questioning them. Those are the days that I feel that it puts us more in touch in the word, with the word, and looking for those reasons, and where our faith is. But I just have to say, please never give up hope. Never give up faith. You may not like what's happening in that moment or how God is answering the prayer, but remember, it's his plan, not our plan.
I like that. Like I went through certain things in my life, as a believer, as a faith believer, going to church, things that I never thought I'd experience, and through all that pain, and because I was hurting for a while, all that pain, everything that I put myself through, everything that I realized I went through, I know God allowed it because He gave me a passion for what I'm doing now, and He gave me a heart to share people's stories. And I had, if I didn't go through all that, I wouldn't have cared. Wouldn't have probably done anything up until now with this. But I thank God every day for what He's showing me, how He opened my eyes and let me see things and let me feel certain ways, or where I can make a change, or where I can help people change.
Exactly. We may not like the journey about how we got to here, but we got here, and we are stronger Christians because of it. We are living life. We are breathing life. We are breathing life into the people we come in contact to, with a mask, of course. But, but we're breathing that life, and the power of what is inside of us that makes us passionate. You reaching out to people, and me offering a message of strength and hope and wanting to be there. We're breathing that life, and sometimes people just don't believe in themselves, and it takes people like us to say, but I believe in you, and let that be enough until you can believe in yourself.
Yes. Now before we close it, I always give my guests the opportunity to share anything that's on their heart, any hope, word of hope, inspiration, courage, or anything you want to share. The floor is open for you.
Okay, so I want to say that this, as we come up on the 1 year mark of losing our daughter, this has not been an easy time. And this is an example of one of the messages that I give in the book. We are not going to be strong every day or every minute of the day. If the ocean has its ebbs and flows and is not expected to be strong every day, then why do we? And so as I come up on one of this year's, or the 1 year mark, this is when maybe my dimmer switch isn't the brightest, but I'm allowing myself to feel it. I'm not putting a timeline on it. I'm praying. I'm walking through each day, each step. I know where that dimmer switch is. And as I feel my feelings and I, process the prayer, the light switch goes on. So, some might be thinking after I give that message, then why is she here talking about it? And I'm saying, because I'm real. I'm real, guys. I'm not We're nobody's strong 100% of the time. Please don't put that pressure on yourself. Please don't define your life by boundaries and rules and pretty Instagram photos, because that's not the case. I wrote this book, and my mission and objective is, if I can help one person feel that they are not alone, if I can help one person find their strength, then everything I've done, all of that I poured into this book, all the love I've poured into this book has been worth it. And so if you are one of those people tonight that I have touched, I am so grateful, and thank you for listening to this podcast. Please reach out to me. My book formally launches tomorrow. It'll be available on Amazon in paperback, and it'll be available as an e-reader in March. So I can't wait for people to read this and share this message of strength and hope and love and faith with everybody.
Annette, thank you for your word. I like this interview because it's I find it much more different. The conversation wise, the way you talk. Because I people tell stories and I listen and I interject at a certain time or question. But your story from many of them are way different. You know what I mean? This is the first time we're going to deal with multiple losses of children without you living a crazy life. Because a lot of people have some crazy stories that we hear, like stories like, wow, God really brought it from somewhere. But it shows that no matter who we are and what we do and how we betray our lives, we're going through something. We're being tested. We're being tried.
Absolutely.
But God stepped in. He saved us what we're going through, and that's what we're here today because of Him.
That's right. Every step of the way, God has shown His love, not just for me, but for all of us. So He's there. Have a conversation with Him. Call it prayer if you want, or just a conversation, but He's there.
Again, Annette, I want to thank you.
Absolutely.
We'll make sure we put your book in the description. But again, thank you for another episode of From the Dust podcast. If you have a story or testimony you want to share, go ahead and hit the From the Dust podcast at outlook.com. Stories need to be told and voices need to be heard.
Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. All things are passed away. Behold, all things become new.
Y'all be blessed. We'll see you again. Yeah.